What's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. It is the 200th episode of Action Movie Anatomy. We're going to be talking about Warrior, my favorite film of all time, in just 1 second.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk,
Really?
featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Action Movie Anatomy.
It's just so good.
It's crazy. It's just good every time.
It never gets old.
It's like alcohol and pizza. Doesn't matter.
Cheeseburgers.
If it's muted, if it's distorted, it's still good.
French fries with cheese. What are we talking about?
What are we here for? What's up, everybody? Boom! 200 shows in the house.
Wow.
In the hizzle.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
This is absolutely, I would have never thought we got to 200 episodes when we started. I watched that first episode again. We were horrible. No.
I just have so many things to say. I'm overwhelmed by thoughts and feelings, and there's so many things to talk about. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the show. We're talking to you from the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network dedicated to talking movies, all things movie-related, and pop culture by the bucketful for the 200th episode all-time of the show, Action Movie Anatomy. Now, technically and officially, we are talking about the film Warrior today for the second time, actually, on the show.
It's kind of interesting. It's the first movie we covered twice, but it's because the first time that we covered this film, it was, you've said it many times, I've said it, the greatest thing I think that I've ever done in media, with the greatest interview, the greatest show of anything. Having Gavin and Anthony on was absolutely incredible, but we didn't get to geek out like we normally do. We had to play it cool.
Right. We definitely played it cool.
We did not play it cool.
There's so much to talk about on the show today, and there's a lot of stories to tell. But in case, just for whatever reason, you guys are tuning in for the very first time, if this is the first time you're ever catching us talking on Action Movie Anatomy, we cover action movies on the show. Those movies adhere to 4 basic rules. Rule number 1, the hero always plays by their own rules. Rule number 2, the hero and the villain are always the smartest people in the room. Rule number 3, the movie is driven by a police, military, political, or mercenary figure. And rule number 4, the movie contains a minimum of 1 explosion. Those are the rules in general for the show. Like many of the games and things that we do on the show, normally, they probably won't really be what today's show is about as much.
Yeah, there's we kind of want to talk history. We're like sitting on a porch, sipping iced tea, telling our kids about our lives. You guys are our kids today, and I'm sorry for that. I think we're gonna talk a little bit about how the show got put together. We're gonna geek out a little bit about Warrior, of course. We've got some exciting new things coming up, and we just want to hang out with you in our favorite place.
Yeah, so the first thing to tell you guys is if you want to follow along with the conversation, what we're doing, you can follow on Twitter. That is Team Action Show. You can follow me on Ben Bateman Media, Twitter, Instagram, all the different places.
Yeah, you guys can find me at Andrew Ghai, and we also have our wonderful Facebook page, Action Industries, and of course, the Popcorn Talk Network. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment below. It helps keep our show high in the standings, which I'm just going to go ahead and toot our own horn a little bit here. Action Movie Anatomy has 9 of the 10 most popular uploads on the entire network.
Oh, sure,
with over, I think, maybe 10 million views in there, probably. I think
there's more closer to 30.
No, I mean just in the top 10.
Oh, yeah.
But the show itself has over 30 million views, which is, it's unbelievable. We started our relationship on camera doing a show called Gotham's Finest that we filmed at an old toy company. I wore shirts that didn't fit.
Yeah, and in fact, because we have a limited amount of time and Andrew has a limited amount of space in his shirts. No, I'm just kidding. Because we have a limited amount of time, the full story of how this all came to pass, I think we probably won't go too much into here. But I can tell you guys that Drew and I have a YouTube channel that was born out of this brand. You know, we've come into this studio and done a 1-hour show 200 times as of today. Mm-hmm. And from there, things like the Schmodown happened, and things like the Action Industries brand and the Action Advisory Board and the whole team that helps us create content. We'll be doing live streams all week, but specifically a 200-minute live stream this Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Action Industries YouTube. You guys can go find that, just youtube.com/Action Industries. We're going to be doing a 200-minute stream to commemorate 4.5 years of this, telling the entire story of Drew and I meeting the very first time at the restaurant that we both were working at, playing a, believe it or not, movie trivia game.
No way.
Who could remember more movies that certain actors and actresses have been in? And
I won more of those.
He did, actually. Being competitive. Didn't expect me to admit that, did you?
I did not. I thought you
we're gonna do that. That'll be on Sunday night. So go if you really want to hear the whole story and literally everything. Check that out. I promise you we're going to talk about Warrior. There's just a few things we want to get to today first.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if you haven't seen the original episode of us talking to Gavin and Anthony, the director and writer of Warrior. Go and watch that when this is done, because you should hang out with us live right now. I see that we got a lot of people in the chat. Of course, it's always great to see you guys. And a special shout out to Sari, who is in the chat, even though she's usually sleeping at this time, as she's all the way across the world. Very happy that you made time for us today.
I'm loading up also. I would like to be in the chat. Normally, you do the chat.
Normally, I'm just the chat. You've got a pop socket. I don't, because I got a new phone. I'm sad about that.
Yeah, I'm struggling to load this here.
But guys, there's something that we wanted to talk to you guys about, and you'll see that there's links down in this description below. We finally figured out a way to rate all 200 movies that we've covered. Ben and I have gone back and forth for years and years about the legitimacy of IMDb's top 250, the Rotten Tomatoes scores. There used to be 3, now there's 2.
Yeah.
And it seems like it just wasn't doing due diligence to what we wanted when we were looking for movie reviews.
And we always would make fun of Rotten Tomatoes scores, and we would talk about how IMDb's scores weren't reflective. And so Drew and I are using this brand new app. We want to talk to you guys about it because it's really awesome.
Yeah.
Some of you guys I know have used Stardust, and other guys have used Letterboxd. We never gravitated towards those apps as much. This app is called thespoke.co. So it's brand new. We actually got to hang out with the developers and talk about this a little bit and sort of talk about movies and what worked for us. Downloaded the app, started using it. It's really, really, really cool. Thespoke.co. If you guys look in the description of this video, actually, you can see there's a magic link to just follow me and follow Drew on the app, and we'll immediately and automatically, based on that link, follow you back. So we will all be following each other, all of the Action Army, together in this network. But we went through and ranked, literally, on a 1 through 5 star scale.
Yep.
All 200 movies covered on AMA, every single one in one place. You can see all of them in order. You can search them. You can go through and rank. You can decide which ones you've seen, which ones you haven't. Give your own rating, review. We can actually, once you guys are doing it, let's say a few hundred of you guys download this and use it, I can then click on the movie and it'll show me the general audience score, and it will show me the people I'm following score.
And the cool thing that's also on top of that is with the people that you're following, people that we like, respect, the Action Army personally. If you guys are on there, you're rating and reviewing movies, and let's say Ben and I want to study for Schmodown, or we want to go and watch a movie we haven't seen before, we can pull up a list of rated movies based off of who we're following and go through and be like, okay, well, I've seen this, I haven't seen this. Oh, this has a great score from most everyone in the Action Army. You bet your ass I'm going to go watch that movie.
Let's say we're asking ourselves, do we want to cover Quigley Down Under? Well, Drew and I have never seen that movie. We have now. We'd click on it and be like, oh, great. So our audience, 77% of our audience think this movie's awesome, right? Or if it says 100% or if it says 50%, we can get a gauge of what you guys like, what you guys don't like. As long as you download the spoke.co, you can even use it on your desktop if you don't want to use it as an app. It's just as functional on the computer.
Yeah, and if you're an Android user like myself, you can just go straight to the website and pull that link and put it on your home screen. It's the exact same as having an app because it was actually developed in web. And the other thing that I really love about this app is the people that made it are film lovers. They went to film school. They sit down and talk to us about movies. They actually watch the Schmodown. That's what's so crazy is these guys are literally they're just like us, except for they have this app instead of a show. So once again, the Spoke, it's a way to go and review every single movie that we've ever covered on AMA, and also moving forward, we're going to just put up movies that we've seen. You've seen Far From Home already. I'm sure you'll put up a score soon.
Exactly. The idea with this, guys, is we wanted to talk to you today about it on Monday, the very first piece of content, because we're going to be doing content all week. We have something like 10 pieces of content releases throughout now and Sunday night between all the different shows. And we're going to use this app all throughout the week. We're kind of going to be using this as like the foundation of all the new things we're adding, the lists that we want to share with you guys throughout the week. So go download it now. Go check it out. Follow along with us all week. You'll see the activity, what we're doing. I could not recommend it more as just somebody who likes movies and wants to talk about them. So the spoke.co. Go check out those links in the description.
I have one more thing I want to say is that every single week when we do the pitch, it's a great way for you guys to go and review the movie we're going to be covering the following week. And then we can talk about what you guys rated it and whether we agree with you or not. We'll also be adding in lists for our star profiles. Every single thing we'll go through maybe a list of our 5 favorite movies from each of the stars of the film. So once again, go and check that out. We are so excited to have a place where we'll be looking at movie reviews for people that we respect and care about instead of seeing like 200,000 reviews on IMDb from people that I have no idea who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I want to just continue geeking out about this app because
it's okay.
Yeah, I think the last thing I will say about it before we get into the actual episode today is that basically the entire premise of the app that they told us when we were talking about it was, if you go and you check out some Instagram influencer, right? Let's just say it's an Instagram model, and she's got 600,000 followers, and she posts every single day. she is posting about the movie that the studio is paying her to post about.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yes.
She has a much bigger audience than we do, and the engagement will be there, but it's not based on somebody who is known for movies. It's based on somebody, in this Instagram model's case, or a toy reviewer on YouTube, or anything that is known for something else. They just happen to have a large following. The idea of this app is to take influencers, specifically influencers that are known for their expertise in a subject, and put them in position to succeed as influencers. So we will become the movie guys because we're using this app and being the movie guys. So help us do that, guys. That is what we're trying to do with this. We would like to use this app to kind of lay the foundation for list making and ratings reviews.
Yeah, and someone just asked if it's like Letterboxd, kind of, except for it's cooler, cleaner, sleeker, sexier, and it totally fits our brand. So that being said, we both gave Warrior 5 out of 5 because
I gave it a 5,
does that, I mean, why wouldn't we?
Why wouldn't we? Yep. So we are going to be getting into all the fun games. Quick Patreon shout-outs to Kyle, Grandin, Eddie, and Zachary Johnson, brand new patrons in the Action Army.
We salute you. And
We
Kyle,
salute you.
your mother as well, because she came and visited Houston. They were
Really?
the ones that did the Pennsylvania road trip all the way.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so a big
Very
shout out
cool.
to Kyle's mom as well. She was the sweetest, nicest, and I also, being raised by a single mom, seeing the two of them go on a road trip just totally warmed my heart. I
Yeah.
loved it.
That's awesome.
I was jealous.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What?
Nothing. So there's so much to talk about. But I think we should probably get into the actual what we do on the show here, which is talking about the movie Warrior, which I'm equally as excited to talk about Warrior as anything else.
I know.
I'm beaming with excitement. Sorry. Last thing, guys. This is content related. Brandon Hanna, who is associate producer of the show and one of the members of the Action Army. He's on the advisory board. Went in and he clipped together 20 minutes worth of the great moments in the 200 episodes of AMA history. He did the very first episode, watching those first clips of us talking.
It's hilarious.
I mean, the first time we debuted Thesis Statement, the first time we found out about the Schmodown, the first time we did, the Jerry B impressions.
First time I sweat through my shirt.
He clipped all this stuff together, and you can go watch it. It's called Road to AMA 200. It's on the Action Industries YouTube. It just went up like an hour ago. It really warmed my heart. So a huge thank you to Brandon Hanna.
Yeah.
That video is incredible. And if you've been a fan for as long as we've done the show, there's no way you watch that and don't get a little misty-eyed, because it's just crazy. 4.5 years later, we're still doing this show.
I used to be so scared to talk.
Yeah. You should still be.
I am. And a big shout out to Brandon Hanna, the Hitman, for taking down his first win in the Schmodown. That is a huge, huge accomplishment. I remember when I had my first beer, and I'm happy for you, Brandon. But yeah, so getting into Warrior, guys, I think the first thing that I want to do before we get into thesis statement, because I think we can just do a general thesis statement. This is mine and Ben's most improved movie that we've ever seen. We both loved it when we first saw it, but now it's arguably both of our favorite movie of all time.
This is my favorite movie ever.
And I think it might be mine as well.
It's the craziest part about that. I agree with your thesis statement. Is that when we first saw this movie, you saw this in theaters. I know that. You've talked about this before.
Yes, I went with my buddy Tom Helfrich, and I remember him and I, after the Mad Dog Grimes fight, looking at each other and going, holy shit.
And I didn't see this in theaters. I saw this when I was staying on Dave Mason's couch, going through a breakup in 2012, the end of the year. Watched this, hammered. Was like, had one of those moments where I was like, this movie is really good, but I'm kind of embarrassed to think it's good because I didn't understand how good it was yet. Like I was like, this is an MMA movie.
Guilty pleasure, maybe.
I was like, oh, this is a silly sports movie. And I like looked it up, and all the reviews were like, oh, using stereotypes and using cliches to its advantage. And I was like, oh, it's okay. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. And then even to the point that the one day behind the bar, I say to the guy who's singing along to the National, I say, I like this movie. It's kind of a silly movie. It's like MMA stuff, but it's called Warrior, and this band's in it. And that's when this guy looks at me and says, you'll never believe this, dude, but I wrote that movie, which of course is one of the crazy stories ever, and becomes one of our good friends, Anthony DeBacchus, who wrote the movie, who you guys saw on the very first episode, who introduced us to Gavin O'Conner, who we ended up meeting most of the cast of this movie over the course of about a year. Attending parties with them and getting to really sort of be on the inside of this crew that makes movies. And at the time, it was such an exciting and huge. It seemed like it went on forever, but it really was just like a year.
Yeah, it almost felt like we got like swept up in this wave of like cool Hollywood and specifically centered around Warrior, because not only did we start to go to shows with Gavin and Anthony, and they came on AMA. We went and saw the National with them at what was the Troubadour? Was it the Rocks? Oh, the Troubadour. Yeah, Troubadour. We were literally on the stage, but then, before that, we saw them performing in a backyard, like in a massive backyard in some mansion, and it was like Ben and I got invited to this Hollywood fundraiser party where the National just played in a backyard.
And we met the band, and then you know that summer. I mean, that's when I hung out with Elizabeth Olsen. Was at that party.
I remember being like, "Who the hell is Elizabeth Olsen?"
I know. And like at that point, you know, I think Ultron hadn't come out yet. Right, it hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, so I remember like all these cool things that were happening that summer, and so we met Edgerton, obviously one of the stars of the movie, at a party that summer, and
we were all like. We were like kind of dressed up. He shows up in a 3-piece suit with a tie, and I was just like, God, that guy's so amazing.
Yeah, so cool.
I love him.
So that's sort of a little bit of the history of this movie with us, and it is crazy. The reason that for me this is my favorite movie of all time, because Point Break classically was, and Boogie Nights, Magnolia, this was like number 4 for me for a while. The reason it's risen up to number 1 for me is like I don't enjoy watching any movie as much as I enjoy this movie now. And I've seen this movie, I'll bet you 40 times.
Yeah.
Like, and the crazy part for me of this movie is that, and I texted you this like kind of recently, I always remember the final 10 minutes of this movie as this like emotional roller coaster of amazing.
Right.
What I started to realize is that half the scenes in the movie feel like my favorite scene now. Like the Koba fight, I like almost more. The final 40 minutes of this movie, like kind of from the beginning of the Koba fight to the end of the movie, are just like, they give me chills. I love it so much.
You have the casino scene in there. You have the hotel room scene with Nolte. You have the look from Nolte. Like all the things. You got the speech in the corner. So many like incredible moments, and like
Tommy acknowledging his comrades for the first time. Just so many moments.
Yes,
I love it so much.
But then you even go to the front end of the movie where it's like, wow. Even just watching Brennan with his kids, like playing dress up. Jennifer Morrison, the most perfect wife ever in a movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to raise my kids in a family where their father gets beat up for a living. And you're like, oh, because the kids are sleeping. She's such a good mom.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, I even love, I love the first 15 minutes.
I do too.
You know, like with the national song, Start a War, and he comes home in his car, and he's on the stairs, and like their conversation in the house. It sets the stage
he's such
so
a
well.
Little fuck.
It just sets the stage so well. I mean, like, okay, so there's just so much to talk about. This is the part of the show where we get to really geek out about this movie because it's just so good. All right, so that's going to be our bold thesis statement. I think we should get into fist pump moment because it's a fair. It's funny. We're using the same outline.
Oh yeah, we did that. We did that purposefully. Was we pulled the outline that we made years ago. I mean, what has it been? 3 years almost. Something like that. Isn't that what someone said the other day?
That was like episode like 47 or something. So,
wow. So yeah, like right around 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's like a bunch of questions that we have in here. So we're gonna kind of work our way through it. But of course, fist pump moment is up next.
Yeah, so fist pump moment, in case it's the very first time you're watching the show, it's their biggest, boldest thought about the film. Something happens, you just kind of look around, you're like, are you seeing this right now? This is so awesome! Oh my god! Like, and
I can't believe I get to watch the rest of this movie.
Yeah, and I think I have 25.
I know. I think what we should do is we should go, because again, our love for this film has evolved. So maybe go with your first fist pump, your original fist pump, and then now when you watch it, what's your fist pump? I think, because it's changed, right?
Yeah. So my original fist pump, and we've told this story before, because Gavin, this is the answer to the Patreon question, the AMA question this week on our Instagram. Every single week, there's a story posted where you guys can answer a specific question about AMA, and if you answer correctly, your answer will be shared on the show. We'll be getting that at the end of the show. It's we have that, but I always would say there's this great moment where, you know, Tommy and Brennan are in the ring at the end, and Nolte has just shown up to the ring, and the song About Today by the National has started playing, and Tommy's arm is broken. He's popped it, and Brendan is kind of looking at the situation, and he's just having this moment where it's like, this is my younger brother who's always been tougher than me. He's always been the favorite. He was always the prodigy, and I'm up against the wall. I need to win because I need the money, but I don't know if I have it in me to take my brother down. It's my brother. And this is like the way I perceive what he's feeling. And he has this just sad, broken look on his face, and both of the under his cheeks are cut. And he's all bruised up and beaten up, and he's sitting there just looking so sad. And he looks over and he sees Nolte, and Nolte gives him this look. It's just this nod. And it's like, the nod is like, you not only do you have my permission, but you have to do this.
You have to do this for you, for your family, for everything, the shortcomings of him as a father for his whole life.
Yeah.
This is the moment where it's like, you need to be the number one right now.
And all the cutbacks too. Once Brennan does start beating him, and Nolte has that, he grabs his hat and just kind of looks down, like, because he's watching his sons beat on each other. It's so hard to watch. But it's when Nolte gives him that nod, and we told that to Gavin, and that's Gavin tells this incredible story where they realized they were missing that insert, that they didn't have that look. They needed that shot, and they had already sent Nolte home. They were done. They had wrapped. And they had to call him back and bring him back to literally shoot the one reaction
just
because they needed it. And it's my favorite. It was classically my favorite. It was my fist pump in the whole movie because it's just such an emotional, like, it just kills me. It just punches me in the heart.
Nolte's performance in this movie is literally a shot of adrenaline back in his career. It was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten you existed. And yeah, so excuse me, for me, my original fist pump, and I've said this many, many times, and I'm going to stick to it because it's obviously changed now, but my original fist pump, I had no idea that this movie was going to be as emotional as it was, as dramatic as it was. I thought it was going to be like a badass MMA movie with Tom Hardy and this guy, Joel Edgerton, who I really loved because I'd seen the movie Animal Kingdom. And I remember the first time that Tommy fights, he fights Mad Dog Grimes in the gym.
That's so good.
And the way that he just kicks his ass stone cold, and the way he ends up like hanging over the ropes at the end,
And then Fernie's down there with like a little
the little camera
flip
and
phone.
And I just read, me and my buddy Tom, we just leaned and we looked at each other like, I can't wait to watch that again on DVD, because like you can't rewind in the theaters, but that moment I was like, oh my gosh, this movie
such
is
an ass kicking.
something. Like, not only do you get the dramatic setup in the beginning, which you said is perfect. Like, 5 minutes of dialogue. Anthony does so much work in that 5 minutes to let you know the history and you know, the struggle and the distance, the alcoholism, all the things, the sobriety, all of it that comes up, and then you go into this like incredible MMA. It's choreographed beautifully by Fernie, you know, in the fight, and I was just like, wow. I can't believe that there's like about 2 hours left in this movie.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, that fight's so good. And the great thing about it is like that those original reviews that I read talking about all the cliches that are used so wonderfully. I mean, they're not bullshit. There are a lot of cliches in this movie that the sports movie genre are full of. And one of those cliches is you know, he gets taunted in the ring, and it's like, you know, how much punishment can one man take? And of course, you know, Mad Dog is such a caricature of that character, right? Like, you know, okay, you want to be a hero?
Yeah.
You know, he's taunting, and you know he's gonna get his ass kicked.
Oh, and I love his crew, his ringside crew. Those guys are all just that. Like, that is who they really are. Anthony was like, you know, the guy with the face tattoos and all that. That's just him. He's not an actor. Like, we pulled him in because we saw him in the way he acted, and he would be perfect in Mad Dog Grimes' corner, which he is. What you leave making Polly at home?
Yeah.
And so, do you have your evolved fist pump now?
I think I keep refreshing this guy, so I just want to see who's in the chat here.
Yeah, chat's great. We're apparently making people tear up.
Yeah, I saw that. Kelsey Kirkland.
Yeah, and Denuzio.
Yeah, Kelsey's the general of the week this week in the general chat.
Oh, congratulations, Kelsey. I love when you see a new name pop up, and then you just see it over and over and over. All the live streams, all the AMAs. Let's just salute her. Kelsey, we salute you.
We salute you. We do a thing called the General's Chat on the Patreon. Everybody at the general level, there's a quick 10-minute private chat before we go live on the Action Guys every single week. And every week we pick one random patron at any level, and that patron gets selected to be the General of the Week. So this week it'll be Kelsey. We'll see you in the chat today at 3:15. I think my evolved fist pump moment now, I mean, there's still 25, but
yeah, of course.
I think it's difficult for it not to be the Campana speech,
right?
Because like that speech is so good. But then also, when I watched it recently, the moment that I had that crushed my soul was when he's about to fight Koba.
Okay.
And Frank is like Grillo, you know, Grills, big fan of Grills.
Big fan of Grills.
And he looks at Brandon and he says, "Hey, you've got a visitor." And he looks over and he sees that Jennifer Morrison has come to the ring. And Tess has been home. She's not wanted to be there because she doesn't want to see
She doesn't even watch the fights.
But she knows how important it is. She loves him so much that she decided to drive out. And so she's there and she looks at him and you see that look on both their faces. It's this just like, and he just looks at her, and it's just like that moment for me when I watched it again.
Love.
I was like, oh my god, and there's so much more pressure on this fight, and then also I know you're about to get the shit kicked out of you, and she's gonna have to watch, and you're gonna have to rally. Got I love this movie so much.
Rally. I know. And Jennifer Morrison, like, one of my favorite moments in the entire film is her first reaction when she's folding laundry, just waiting for the text, like waiting, puts it down, waits, pounding her fist, and then like her reaction to him winning is like, you know, she doesn't want to support.
Right.
It's even like the mom in Creed, you know, like, get up, you better get up. You know, like that thing. You don't want to see your kid or your husband fight and get their ass kicked, but you have to support them. Oh, I love it. I think, man, what is my fist pump?
I know, it's because there's just so many to pick.
Because, yeah, I mean, I think the Campana speech just goes down as the ultimate fist pump. You know, why are we here?
Yeah.
Why are we here, Brennan?
Why are we here, Brennan?
But I think for me, it's maybe in the very end of the fight between him and Brendan, and he looks at him. He just drops his hands.
I know.
He just shakes his head like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And you look at it because you're like, even in this moment, Brendan's about to lose his house.
Yeah.
He's got kids. He's got a wife. Even in that moment, he's still the best guy in the room. He's like, I just give up. Please, like, don't make me do this. Like,
Yeah.
you're my brother. I have to do. And then you see Tommy, he does the one arm, like, come on. And Brendan's like, fine, man.
And he goes,
The fake and the kick in the head.
Yeah.
Oh, the kick in the head. But now we have to talk about the ultimate fist pump from the guy that directed it.
Yes. So this is, and some of you guys watch these live streams you do on Action Industries. We'll be doing a 200-minute stream on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. But also we're going to be doing a stream all throughout the week.
We had committed to 200 minutes before I'd done the math.
Yeah. And I told this on my stream on Wednesday night. I think we've told the story on the air before, but it's worth retelling. So we did the show, and we used to have a segment on the show years ago called Ultimate Action Scene.
Yeah.
Where we would pull up like anywhere between like a 2 and a 7 minute scene from the movie that was like the best scene, the most action packed. We'd play that and we'd watch it and we'd like break the scene down. And so the final 7 minutes of Warrior, 8 minutes of Warrior, is one of my favorite sequences in a movie ever. It's gets me cry every time, and we had it queued up, but
The trailer makes me cry.
yeah. But the trailer, the interview with Gavin and Anthony was going so well and was going so long. They were in here for almost an hour 45.
Yeah.
Once we got to the end, we didn't get to show the scene. And throughout the show, Gavin had told us he hadn't seen the film since theaters, which is crazy.
Which is funny because Ben had seen it like 50 times.
All the stuff we were talking about, they were like barely remembered some of it.
Yeah.
And so we had the scene queued up, and one of the things we do on the show is favorite line. We asked Gavin towards the end of the show, "What's your favorite line?" And he said, "I can't remember. I can't think of one right now."
I haven't seen it since it was in theaters, so.
And so afterwards, we walk out. We're talking to Gavin and Anthony. Thank you so much for having us here. You guys are great at this. We really enjoyed this. Everybody's having a geek out moment.
And Gavin's kind of standing like kind of where you are.
Yeah.
Actually, he's right in front of the desk. And he's like looking up at the screen.
Well, no, we had walked out of the studio.
No, okay, gotcha.
Right, we walked out of the studio, and he was talking to you and me, and he's like, thanks you. Kind of walks back over to me, and he's like, oh yeah. And he's like, hey, can I ask you something? I go, yeah, sure. What's up? And he goes, I noticed you had the final 7 minutes or the scene queued up in there. We didn't get to watch it. Do you mind? Can we go watch that together? And I.
Sure.
Yes, I will go to prom with you.
Exactly. It was like, are you kidding me? This is a dream.
So we go in here and we all we put the headphones on, and Mark Donica, who's no longer lives here in Los Angeles, was our producer at the time, and Donica, and we're all Anthony, and we've all got the headphones on, and we're standing and we're watching the scene up on one of these TVs, the headphones on, but we're actually really kind of like watching Gavin watch it.
Yeah, we're over here just like side eyeing them.
Yeah,
because we could reenact the end of the movie,
and it's getting to the the final. He's got Tommy pinned, and the song, the crescendo's building, and he's like, just tap, Tommy, just tap. And he's like, finally, he has the line where he says,
it's like, what does Grillo say? He's like, break it,
yeah,
you better break it.
Yeah, and he's just tap, Tommy, and he's like, I love you, and then he goes for the tap, and Gavin goes, that's my favorite line. And when he says it was like one of those, like, you're like experiencing him experience your favorite thing in the whole world that he created.
Right.
So,
but you know it better than he does at this point.
It was such a moment. I remember just like hair on the arm standing up. And
even now I'm getting chills.
Yeah, and I'll always remember it because it wasn't on camera, but it's just like one of those stories you have because it's the epic climax of the movie, and like. And I love you is one of the phrases in a movie that's been said probably the most times ever. But there's just something about when you place it, what it means, and when you're so connected to those characters' relationship at that moment that, yeah, I'll never forget that moment. That's probably the ultimate fist pump.
I mean, we talked about it on the original show, and you and I have mentioned it over the years that Warrior executes movie cliches to perfection. They use all the cliches you expect. Of course, it's brother versus father, or brother versus brother. Of course, they end up in the final match together. Of course, their father's an alcoholic and the mom left and died. You know, like all of these things. One guy's a bad guy, one guy's a good family guy, and all the stuff. And then, of course, the I love you. But think of other I love yous like that. When Trinity kisses Neo and wakes him back up, she says, I love you. Like those things, when you use it right, my God, does it hit hard. And I wanted to talk really quickly about a fist pump that we saw here in the chat, because this is one of the weird things. When you watch a movie so many times, you start to really appreciate the smallest things. And Jarvie here, one of our longtime fans and friends, he goes, new fist pump. The way the title of the movie appears just after Tommy and his dad reunite, and Warrior in capitals just appears with a very subtle but menacing score in the background. And even from that moment, you're like, this movie is deeper than I think. I didn't know what I signed up for.
That's what I was talking about, Jarvie. When you say that, like when I'm talking about the opening, I'm talking about the intensity that you feel when that moment starts, especially if you love this movie and you feel when that happens, the journey you're about to go on, that you're about to experience with this movie. Yeah. It's one of the most rewatchable movies I've ever seen in my life. I like cannot stress enough like how much I've gotten out of it. The one last one, just because, you know, we have to continue moving on through the show.
We don't have to do anything we don't want to do.
I mean, I actually, to be completely honest, feel like this whole show should just be fist pumps. But the one that gets me now when I watch it, too, is when he's fighting Koba. And he flips him over because he's after Frank gives him the speech. Yeah. And he's got him and he flips over and he gets him in the lock. And the announcer's like, he's got him in a deep guillotine. Koba is in trouble. And the score is swelling. Yeah. And that look on Brendan's face where he's just like straining everything and he has to hold him. And you're like, there's no way he's going to get him. There's no way he's going to get him. You're like, there's no way he's going to get him.
He's too big.
He's too big. I can't believe it's happening. And it's just.
See that Koba guy on the TV? Kill dudes or whatever she says. Like, he's horrifying. Kurt Angle is horrifying.
Kurt Angle, in the old days, like the mid 2000s, was like all American. You wanted to punch him in the face. At this point in his career, he looks terrifying and roided out, and now he looks kind of like an old man wrestler. He's kind of, but like at this moment, he's right at the tail end of like. He's right at the tail end of like still jacked and could destroy you, but also just looks like a villain.
Oh, straight up.
He's like kind of orange. He's so tan, right?
Yeah. And then, oh, man, the tapping of the Koba and the reaction from Tess is so wonderful. God, I love her. I think she's my favorite wife
ever in a movie,
or female counterpart in a movie ever.
Yeah, it's the Koba fight. Like, it is almost as good as the final fight. I've decided on rewatch. Anyway, so guys, those are our fist pump moments. If you have any others that you want to share in here, Jarvie, he ripped the door off a tank.
I love it. And the other thing that's so great is the balance of the action to go back to the drama. You know, someone in here just wrote, wish I could see where it is, but they're like, why am I looking at pictures of people I don't know?
Yeah.
It's like there's so many great lines that Anthony writes in there. They're just so subtle. One line, and then of course, in every PG-13 movie, you get one fuck. Yep. And when he says it to Nolte in the casino,
oh yeah,
how does your heart not break?
Oh, Nolte's look like his
like sad dog look,
his reaction that he's giving in that moment is so good. It's so good
because you know that he's. At the end of the day, he was a bad father.
Yeah, and he knows it.
And he knows he was. But at the same time, you see how hard he's trying to make up for it. It's like too little, too late a lot of the time for both of them. You know, and even like when, dude, I tear up in the very beginning when he tries to go to Brendan's house. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, is that Jeannie in there? She's so big.
She's so big. It's just a nice old man.
Yeah, just a nice old man. Don't worry. Let's go inside.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Like, and Tommy knows he's cutting him as deep as he can. He's like, I've given you my trust. You've given me your trust. And now I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to literally try to rip your heart out of your chest. And then the way he's screaming in the hotel room and like the look on Tommy's face, like this movie just never fails to amaze me. So, all right. I don't think we're going to do star profiles because I don't think it's necessary. Yep. We've talked about these guys a lot.
Yeah, so like one of the first questions we asked was, normally in this segment of the show we talk about where the stars were at in their careers, but we'd rather talk to you guys about how this movie got started and where you heard of these guys, etc. And I believe trying to remember. I believe it was Bronson that Gavin had seen. Is that correct?
What I remember this movie was supposed to come out before Inception.
Right.
But it ended up coming out after. And what ended up happening was nobody had really seen Tom Hardy in just about anything. I mean, I remember Anthony saying on the show, nobody had seen Bronson. Like, people claim they had seen it now, but
Right. Oh yeah, I was on that.
Yeah, nobody watched that movie. Yeah. Like, Tom Hardy was basically like, before Inception, Tom Hardy was basically an unknown. Like, he had been in a bunch of movies. Like, he had small parts. You know, I think in Star Trek Nemesis, he's like a bad guy, and like there's like some other stuff. But he really was not a known quantity. And Joel Edgerton was pretty much the same. And they basically cast unknowns for this movie. And this movie was really under the radar. I mean, the one sort of credit you can give this movie is the Nolte Oscar nomination. Like, that's the, like, people at the time were willing to acknowledge there was something special about this movie. But I will say about Warrior, more than any movie I've ever loved, more than any movie in my life I've ever loved, this is the movie that every year it feels like more people I talk to talk about this movie as though it's one of the all-time classics. Did you know that Snyder, I think, recently published his Snyder published his, like, top 5 or top 10 movies of the 2010s. Or maybe he was working on the list, and Warrior was his number 5 movie of the decade.
Really?
I think so. Yeah,
that's great because he has a very different movie taste. Than
there were some other movies on that list. I think Manchester by the Sea was in his top 5 also, which was like, what? Yeah. But just the idea that somebody who, like, rates movies for a living, you know.
Yeah. Garth McMurray, just to piggyback on your thought there. Kyle Grandinetti coming in hot with the $10 super chat.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so much for that. He says, you both are so great, phenomenal videos. Hopefully we can get to hang out while I'm in California. I'm staying 2 weeks. Woo, haha. Well, hopefully we can, man. It was such a pleasure meeting you. And remember, guys, all the super chat here helps Popcorn Talk. It helps Maria and Kevin keep the studio alive. We've been so blessed to be shooting in these incredible studios for 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, any support that you can give to Popcorn Talk is so greatly appreciated. So, Kyle, thank you so much. What I was going to say here, Garth McMurray says, I'm still upset that Nolte was nominated for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role, but lost to Christopher Plummer in The Beginners.
Yeah.
Or in Beginners, which, you know, one of the coolest things about that episode, and we're just going to talk about it now because we can, is Gavin and Anthony fought tooth and nail with the studios to get Nick Nolte on, so much so that they lied to the studios saying that they had and this is the part that kind of didn't make sense to me because I've worked in the space, I've worked in production so many times. The idea that the director and writer could basically tell the studios, no, don't worry, we got someone else, it's going to be great, and the studio's not really prying into it. They just didn't want Nolte. They didn't give a shit who it was. They just didn't want him. And they were like, no, we got someone. It's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. And then finally when it came to sign the paperwork, showing up on set, guess who was there?
Can we talk about for a second how excited we both are for Angel Has Fallen and Nick Nolte playing Gerard Butler's father in a...
I feel like that movie was... I feel like the person that wrote that watches the show.
I think so, too. There's no way that movie could be happening with Nolte as his father. I'm so overwhelmed with excitement for that movie. I feel like we need to be close to the production of that movie somehow. We have to. I don't know what we're gonna do.
We need to. I mean, I know, and this is just a little nugget for you guys. You know, I know that we have personally reached out to Gerard's publicist as of like this last week.
I've been in touch with her about trying to figure out a way to book him.
We gotta get him on. I don't care if he just sends us a letter. I don't care if it's a call in or whatever
Totally
it may
agree.
be, or if he comes in for 5 minutes just to say, "You guys need to calm down," and he just leaves. I don't care.
Yeah.
We need to have him.
Jared. Yeah, Jared.
Jerry B.
So guys, I don't really want to get into any of the basic stats on this movie.
Yeah.
I think we like, again, if you want that stuff, a lot of it we talked about on the other show. Quick check-in for those of you in the chat. Who here has checked out The Spoke while we're talking?
Yeah.
We talked about it at the beginning of the show, thespoke.co. We gave these magic links. Has anybody checked it out? Has anybody downloaded it? What do you guys think? I'm really hyped to get your guys' opinion on this. One of the major things that the developers actually told us was that we can give them feedback on the functionality of the app.
Yes.
And they can, in real time, implement our suggestions.
We got coffee with them
crazy.
this morning. Ben made a suggestion. They're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. That's really smart. We should do that. And again, that link doesn't make you follow us like on Twitter. It makes you follow us, and we follow you immediately back. So this is going to become an incestuous
I see
thing
there's
with reviews.
we got 10 more people since we started the show.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got 10 more followers on here, which I think has to all be you guys because that's the only people that we talked to about this so far. You're the very first people to hear about the app.
Yeah, so if you guys, all 41 of you here in the chat, which I love that a movie that we've covered twice now has a great amount of viewers, go and check out The Spoke on iPhone, thespoke.co on desktop or Android. Ben and I are on there. Click the link below. We'll follow you back. It'll follow us. And again, we get to just rate and review movies together from people that you know, trust, respect. And also, we're going to implement it in the show. Every single week, we're going to be talking about, when we do the pitch, what do you think we're going to add to that list? The movie we're covering the following week. Everyone can rate it for a whole entire week. And then we can discuss whether or not you guys are idiots or geniuses like us.
Yeah. So a couple things, guys, because we've got a few minutes left here on the show. I do want to make sure that we hard out in 11 minutes here? Or do we have a couple minutes over? Whoever's
in the booth.
J-Lo or Ryan, who's in the booth? Excellent.
Thank you, J-Lo.
Appreciate that. We got J-Lo up in the booth producing the show. Thank you so much for being a part of episode 200 of AMA. What's your favorite line?
My favorite line in the film. Oh, man. What is my favorite line? Do you know what yours is off the top of your head or no?
I think probably at this point...
I think I know what it is for me.
I like so many of the lines, to be honest with you. I mean, so many of the lines, but... one of the lines that I've always really loved is right at the beginning when he says, Patty Conlon, a man of priorities. He's talking about his car.
Yep.
It's such a backhanded...
It's such a loaded line.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Anthony's writing in the first 10 minutes of this movie, and a lot of his best writing comes in that first scene. I mean, there is stuff later that is absolutely terrific and really blows my mind, but there's a lot of stuff at the beginning when you're setting the stage and you're getting to know these characters. Mm-hmm. He doesn't do that much exposition. There's not a lot of there's a little bit of Gavin on the TV being like, Sparta, it's this tournament, these are the stakes, this is how it works, right? You have those moments,
and you get the
soldier, some of that exposition,
right, and you also get Brendan working in the nightclub, in that fight,
some of that stuff. But a lot of the stuff, the relationship stuff between Nolte and Hardy in that first 10 minutes, you get so much about both characters in less than 10 minutes of movie. You kind of know everything you need to know. You get that there's a brother who went off and got married. You get that Tommy's estranged, that he joined the military.
Yep.
You get that he's kind of a mess. You get that Nolte was a total mess, that his wife's dead, that he was an alcoholic, that he hit his wife. You get so much.
Kind of hard to find a woman that'll take a punch these days.
Nowadays, yeah. Even just and again, like Jarvis said, the title and the music and all of it. There's just and the scenery. I mean. When he's driving, they shoot Pittsburgh really beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
There's just this movie just it really knocks it out of the park. So guys, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I think my favorite line is it's just the classic, if you don't knock them out, you don't have a home.
Yeah.
I love that line so much, putting everything in perspective, adding what better way to add stakes to a movie than make not only his wife be the most wonderful on-screen wife ever, his kids are adorable, he's the dad that'll play, let them put makeup on him, and then it's oh yeah, by the way, all those people that you've fallen in love with are not going to have a house if you don't win.
So good.
And you're just yeah, I'm doubled down. I'm completely reinvested, even though I'm already so invested in this film.
So guys, I think a couple things that I'd like to ask you who are watching the show, because we've probably got about 10 to 12 minutes of the show left. We've talked about this movie endlessly. You can watch an entire other episode of us interviewing the writer and director. And while we have you for a few minutes, I'd love those of you in the chat to share. Do you have favorite AMA moments from the last 200 episodes, from the last 4.5 years? Do you guys have any memories that you want to share in here that we can read on air? Because obviously this journey for us, we've had some crazy memories, crazy experiences. I mean, there's stuff that I'll never forget. We've gone through whole chapters of our life in the time we've done this show. One of the things in that video that I mentioned that Brandon made that's so funny, you can see our weight fluctuate. You can see the size of our faces and swelling and shrinking and swelling and shrinking. Those, we look like little kids in the first episodes.
We do.
Yeah.
I like I still have my baby fat.
Yeah, you did actually.
I did, but it wasn't baby fat. It was called college fat. I just couldn't get rid of it. I think it's pretty clear that our favorite moment together on the show is the interview with Gavin and Anthony. But my actual, if I was to go back and think of some of my favorite moments, I remember how excited I was to talk about Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
That was one of the things because it was so early on, and we had Steph Z on, who was such a wonderful guest. She was a repeat guest numerous times. And I came out with my thesis statement saying that Mad Max Fury Road is the greatest action movie ever made. Now, obviously, I was very excited. I was a young, impressionable man. But the thing about it was that I just remember that doe-eyed adoration and excitement of doing the show. And that episode specifically stands out to me because I don't know if I'd ever been that excited to do a show leading up to that point of into covering a movie, because I was just like, man, this thing that we're doing, it's so cool, and I'm really starting to find my footing. But this movie made me feel like I could carry the show for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
and was
you
just
were
by
so
myself.
excited,
Josh Ryan Sports, the legendary AMA question
Josh
asker.
Ryan, yeah.
He asked, he says, congrats on 200 episodes, guys. It's been a blast watching every week for 4 years. Still cry at the ending of this movie every time. That makes me so happy.
Totally. It's also insane to me that we have, I mean, we as a labor of love, and because this is our job that we love, have done this show for 4 years. Like we show up to work and we put on the best show we can. But the idea that there are some fans like you, Josh, that have been here the entire time and have probably seen the majority of the episodes. It's crazy to me. You have spent hundreds of hours of your life with us.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like we find out that our longtime viewers know more about the show than we do. They remember episodes better than we do. Like we'll be talking in general's chat or with our advisory board, and they'll bring up a moment, and Ben are like, "Oh yeah, that happened. That was something that happened."
When we went through in the last couple days here on the Spoke and ranked every movie, we took all 200 movies that have ever been covered on MMA, and we had to one by one go give it they have half stars and full stars.
Yeah.
There were certain movies that we were both getting to in the course of doing that neither of us could remember actually reviewing ever on the show.
Is there a movie that specifically that pops in your mind, and I'll leave this off, that you completely did not remember when going through the list? Mine was Master and Commander. I don't remember the movie. I don't remember the episode. I feel like that didn't happen. I must have been incepted.
There was none.
Your memory's better than mine.
There wasn't an episode that I went through that I was like, did that actually happen? But there was a couple movies like reading through where I was like, I like remember literally almost nothing about talking about this. Like, this is Paul
Denuzio. 5 more. Congrats, guys. Personal fave, The Crow. My first call-in. We got to get back to doing call-ins. I miss having those.
Yeah.
I remember when Denuzio bailed me out when you were getting bailed out of, not jail. You got pulled over, and so we had to start the show, and Denuzio called in and just co-hosted with me for a little bit.
Yeah,
awesome.
let's just scroll through this list here on the Spoke and see if there's any movies that I just fully don't remember covering whatsoever. While I do that, if you want to read any of people's favorite memories, just because I asked that question, I think some people shared a few things.
AJ Lancaster goes, one of my favorite moments was the rules, including the Dutch rudder joke.
Yeah, there was some good ones.
If you don't know what that is, go watch Zach and Miri make a porno.
We used to have a thing in the beginning of the show that movies had to be released in 1981 or later. I forgot that happened.
Yeah, and I remember you were like, it has to follow 4 of the 5 rules. And I was like, oh, this was a thing. Jarvie says, okay, I got a choice for you, and this is a great one. One of the things gets erased from history, just like in yesterday, how the Beatles never existed. Do you erase Warrior or all the Rocky movies, including Creed? Whew. First of all, definitely erase Rocky and Creed because I love Warrior more than all of them. But that is one of the hardest.
Brutal.
I love Rocky, Rocky 4, Rocky 3, and both the Creeds. Like, I adore them.
Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
Well, would you get rid of them, or would you? Which one would you get rid of?
I would keep Warrior. I mean, it would destroy my soul because like that seems like a ludicrous thing to actually have to do. But I would obviously. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Let's be real there.
Jarvis says Pacific Rim. That was a pretty good call-in. Let's see. I'm a huge fan of Gavin O'Conner as a director. I went to go see Miracle, and I have it on DVD. My fist pump moment for that one is the last part when they win the game, and his speech, Kurt Russell's speech in that movie is so great.
Where he goes, "Great moments are born from great opportunity." Yeah. And that's what we have here tonight.
We do have a question, as you mentioned before, on Instagram. We had a winner in the competition that we do weekly. I'm going to pull up the question right now. And the name of the gentleman is, of course, The Last King 94 on Instagram. His name is Zubair Ahmed. And his question, or his statement, is Warrior is one of my favorite movies of all time. My question is, do you guys think it should have an ending at the hospital where Tommy gets treated with the whole family with the whole family there, and while they receive the news, that it's just a dislocated shoulder. Dana White from UFC shows up and asks them if they would like to join the UFC. First of all, I love your storytelling. I think that would be amazing. And that also reminds me of Gavin and Anthony had went back and forth with each other, as well as their cinematographer, saying that very last shot where they're walking out together, they were going to do it from behind. They were going to do it from straight on. And then they were like, well, let's try doing it from the ground shooting up. And so they shot it a bunch of different times. And again, there was a lot of, for some reason, like heated debate about this specific moment. It's how you end the movie. And they stuck with what they all agreed on was the absolute best, which is shooting it from below and having them walk through the camera. I love the way that it ends. I don't think that adding anything else in is really necessary, because then you started to get in the implications of the time you get arrested and all those weird things. The house of, them buying a house, paying off their debt. I think the way it ends is just perfect.
Yeah, so I think looking through, I have a brief memory of almost every movie we've ever covered. There are ones that I remember almost nothing about. I can almost not remember us talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I just almost don't remember that happening.
I know when I rated it on the Spoke, I was like, I remember it. I remember us.
Dude, so you got the luxury of going through my ratings and clicking through. I had to go through and find every movie on the Spoke and do the 200 first.
Right. Thank you.
And there was ones that I was like, did we cover? I was like, oh, we must have covered Rogue One. And I was like, oh, I guess we never covered Rogue One. I couldn't believe we had never covered Thor Ragnarok. That blew my mind.
I know. It's because you and I actually had like a show we were going to do for a different network, and our first episode was centered directly around Thor Ragnarok. So I think we just thought that we had covered it. Brandon Hanna, Janine says, first of all, with the $4.99, all the love to Popcorn Talk. Thank you guys so much. Janine says, Batman Returns was the best episode, and I agree. # film physics. We will bring you back for that very, very soon. Paul Denuzio, $5 more. You know what would be a fave? The release of the Count to 10 video. One day it'll come out.
Yeah. Someday, maybe. I look like a dying person. It's not a good look for me. Guys, thank you all so much for the super chat donations here. This is so cool to be supporting the studio like this. I know Popcorn Talk is incredibly appreciative of that. We can't wait to do a billion live streams. We're gonna be on air with you guys doing live streams on the Action Industries channel for Today we have one Wednesday, one Thursday, and then one Sunday. I think we're going to be on air with you guys for like 6 hours this week doing live streams. So get hyped, get ready. We have 3 minutes left, and one last major announcement, a huge, insane announcement that I actually talked about on my Wednesday live stream last week, but officially on the show.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yes!
And this is crazy. New York Comedy Club, Thursday, August 29th, 10:15 p.m., Action Live. We're going to be performing live in New York together at 10:15, a 90-minute show. It will be Action Live. It will be a combination of our characters on the Schmodown, Action Movie Anatomy Fundamentals, and the Action Guys on Collider.
Yes.
All three of the different things, all the Action Industries love that we've ever experienced from you guys, all the content we've ever made. We're going to come up with a special show. We will have a ticket, a link for tickets coming very soon. But New York Comedy Club, Thursday, August 29th.
Hey, you guys.
What is this?
Hey for you guys.
What?
Oh my God!
Episodes. 200.
It says boom on it, everybody. Look at that, guys! You're the best. Whoa!
200.
Thank you so
Amazing
much,
job.
Jeff Graham, Ryan.
Thank you guys so much.
Love. Thank you
episode.
so much, guys. I'm eating half of this.
Yeah. I'll be taking half home.
This is holy I saw something gigantic in the fridge with a paper towel over it, and I didn't look because I ate so much food last night.
You thought you were going to poke around.
I figured I might, but
Look at this.
this is. I wish we could is there a way to hold it up?
To eat it on air?
You want to try to hold that so we can?
I feel dangerous.
Just do this. Do that. You guys see that?
Tilt it. You guys like that?
You like that?
200th episode cake?
Congrats on 200. Boom. That. Man.
The studio's the best.
Yeah, the studio's the best, and I'll just get corny for a minute, man. I'm so blessed to be working with you for as long as we have. This show is maybe the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my life because it's led to so many other opportunities. This studio is how I got my Clash Royale gig. This studio and this show is how we got on the Schmodown. It's how we got Collider. It's how we built a following. It's how I got more than 100 followers on Twitter. This show is everything, and I can't thank you enough. I can't thank Popcorn and Kevin and Maria and Steven and now Ryan, J-Lo, everyone that's ever engineered, Marissa, Mark. I don't want to just say a million names, but I can't wait to just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, man. You're getting emotional.
I am.
That.
I feel like I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
I don't want to cry.
Yeah, you can cry if you want.
I don't want to cry.
I'm with you, man. It's been an incredible few years. I can't believe how long we've done it. I can't believe how much good has come from it. And it's been life changing. So, a thanks to every fan. A thanks to every person that's ever worked with the studio. To Steven, to Jeff, and more than I think anyone, to Kevin and Maria, who started this company and
believed in us in this show from day one,
and have given us the platform the whole time. And for this cake, and there's so many good things. So we're going to take 2 last minutes to kind of wrap up the episode here.
Yep.
But again, guys, August 29th, New York Comedy Club, 10:15. We'll have ticket links very soon. If you go to patreon.com/Team Action and sign up there, we're going to have a discount ticket link for you guys. So we'll have a ticket price, and then we'll have a discount link that'll come specifically to patrons. We're going to hand it out to anybody who's a patron. We'll get a discount link if you guys want to see that show. So we're really, really excited. It's going to be unbelievable. And we have one last thing left to do on the show, and that's called The Pitch.
Wow, that was a good one. One more thing before we pitch. Josh Ryan Sports, $5 more in the super chat. One more thought that we'll never forget hearing you quote Cornwallis saying, damn him, damn that man.
Yeah.
Thought I was the only person who loved that line. No, sir. You and everyone that's ever watched Action Movie Anatomy loves that line. What are we doing next week?
Next week on the show, unfortunately, I will not be here, but Andrew, with a special yet-to-be-announced guest, will be covering Spider-Man Far From Home, which I've seen, and I really loved. I thought it was terrific, so I can't wait to watch that review. You guys should see it this weekend. It's an awesome movie. Last time, to remind everybody here, because we're going to be pimping it out all week because we're so hyped about it.
Very excited.
And honestly, the more of you guys that interact with us on this app we keep talking about, the better the app is for us. That's the point, right? If every single fan of this show downloads the app and rates the movies, we will be able to see what you guys think of the movies we cover, which kind of is the entire point of why we're talking about it so much. That is thespoke.co. Download the app. If you don't want to download it, use it on your desktop, start an account. Follow Drew and I with that magic link in the description below, and we'll follow you immediately back automatically. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and I think we're going to immediately add Spider-Man Far From Home to the list of the movies on Action Movie Anatomy. Ben will rate it. I need to go watch it and then rate it. And then, of course, we will also be creating a new list of our top 5 Jake Gyllenhaal films and rating each of them.
Yes.
So very excited to have that. And lastly, you, San Tran 279, would you consider remaking the 4 rules of AMA? We totally don't follow them anymore, but we like to say them. So that's the answer. Is there anything else we need to mention?
No, I think that's going to cover it for today's show, guys. Stay tuned, 5 p.m. today for an Action Industries live stream on youtube.com/Action Industries. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here for 200 shows. Yeah. And we'll see you guys again soon.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.